And now for the Caverly Awards. In 1984, the BEF created the Ernest R. Caverly Award to recognize Brookline educators who have made outstanding contributions to excellence in education. The award is named after Dr. David Caverly, Ernest Caverly, a distinguished public school leader, educator, and Brookline school superintendent. Each year, the BEF asks educators in Brookline to nominate fellow colleagues for this award. The BEF convenes a special committee composed of BEF board members and prior Caverly Award winners to consider the wonderfully descriptive and inspiring letters submitted in support of each nominee by colleagues, parents, and former students. On behalf of the Brookline Education Foundation, we are delighted to announce this year's Caverly Award winners. So the first one that I will be introducing is a personal friend, Amanda Kretschmar. Amanda is the librarian extraordinaire at the Pierce School. The committee was captivated by the description of the work Amanda does with and for the Pierce School community. As told by members of that community, at this time I'd like to share with you some of those descriptors. This is the first one. There's no more passionate reader who excites the students with her stories while she's reading the stories of others. Her energy and expertise are unparalleled, yet she is humble with her craft and always engaged in experiences to foster her learning. She organizes school-wide campaigns for various book competitions like the Caldecott, Prince, and Newbery Awards, along with others. And mind you, she's doing this in 2 separate buildings, not just one. Creating engaging visual and oral presentation that make kids excited to read multiple books on her recommendation. Another person wrote, "She makes stories fun and was the reason I started reading novels. Without her, I wouldn't have read classics like A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, because she got me to read good books and find my sense of self in them." I'm not done. Not only does she curate diverse and thoughtful displays of books for our school community, she works tirelessly to uplift the stories of historically marginalized communities in ways that interrupt stereotypes and biases, as well as build empathy, and she does it joyfully. I see a lot of nods. And finally, Amanda has the ability to get most challenging students excited about reading. If that doesn't define a skillful librarian, I don't know what does. It is my pleasure to introduce Jem Stoddard, Vice Principal, maybe, I don't know, Vice Principal of the Pierce School, who will share some thoughts about Amanda.
We really want to hear Amanda, but I was asked to say a couple words. I have always maintained that the library is the heart of any school. This was perhaps no better realized than at the now former Pierce School. Our library was in the center of our massive Unit A, which at Pierce is more than a BEU bargaining unit, spanning 3 different levels with a vast array of brightly colored stairwells and hallways leading students into and out of the world of books, the land of Ms. Kretschmar. Over the course of the years, the expanse of our heart contracted dramatically from 3 levels to 2 levels to 1 level, but it kept beating proudly. And then, if that wasn't enough, with the building's demolition and our relocation, our heart was, well, broken in 2. And then transplanted to 2 new locations, about a couple miles apart. One would think a vital organ cannot withstand such punishment. But thanks to Amanda Kretschmar and her monumental efforts, to paraphrase Celine Dion, you know where I'm going, our heart does indeed go on. It's another paragraph, so it's still under 2 minutes, I timed it. Amanda embodies what it means to be a true educator. She exudes passion for reading and for learning. She seeks to deeply know all of our students and find books that will not only resonate with each of them, but also open up new worlds to each of them as well. She collaborates eagerly and thoughtfully with teachers throughout our K-8 school and is a trusted adult for students and staff alike. We need more librarians in this world, and we need more Amanda Kretschmars as well. We are so fortunate to have her at the Mighty Pierce and here in Brookline. Our colleague, our friend, our inspiration, our heart. Amanda Kretschmar.
Oh my goodness, I'm already crying. Okay, I'm doing this. Okay, thank you, Jim. That was really lovely. And thank you, Brookline Education Foundation, and my wonderful and inspiring Pierce colleagues, Marley, Stephanie, Sandy. I still cannot believe you made this happen and kept it all a secret. I am so honored by this award. I truly don't think I deserve it any more than the amazing colleagues I have had the privilege of working with every day, both at Pierce and in my library department. But I humbly accept it on behalf of every teacher who has ever had a moment of questioning every life decision they ever made to get there. I love teaching, but it is hard. No matter how much you give, it often feels like there's not enough. It's not enough. This has been one of the more challenging years of my life, both personally and professionally, to say the least. There were days when I truly found it hard to smile, which, for anyone who knows me, says a lot. With the Pierce move and demolition, the setting up and running of 2 libraries in 2 different buildings, none of which went smoothly, the forever looming budget cuts, and the world on fire, it felt like I hardly had anything left to give. And yet, as many of my amazing colleagues will tell you, we teachers just keep showing up, acting as if, trying to bring our best selves and hoping it is enough, that we are enough for our students every day. I've been thinking a lot about education lately, as many of you know. Maybe this is what every teacher does after almost 27 years of doing the work. Maybe it's because I'm watching my own daughters experience public schools for themselves. Maybe because it's what I'm hearing constantly in the media about failing teachers, failing curriculum, and failing schools. What is the point of it all? Why do we do what we do? Although the answer may be a bit different for each of us, I think it probably rings true for most that we know what we do as teachers matters. Regardless of test scores and data and imperfect curriculum and endless emails, the magic that happens in our classrooms and schools every day matters. And that sometimes what matters most cannot be measured. Relationships, connections, joy, and love. I believe in the power of stories. As scholar and author Dr. Rudine Sims Bishop wrote back in 1990 in her essay, Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors, books are sometimes windows, offering views of worlds that may be real or imagined, familiar or strange. These windows are also sliding glass doors, and readers have only to walk through in imagination to become part of whatever world has been created or recreated by the author. When lighting conditions are just right, however, a window can also be a mirror. Literature transforms human experience and reflects it back to us. And in that reflection, we see our own lives and experiences as part of a larger human experience. Stories grow our hearts and expand our thinking. Stories make us question and look for answers. Stories help us dream and give us hope, even in our darkest moments. It is this belief in the power of stories that keeps me going. My story as an educator began back in high school when I decided that teaching was the way to make the world a better place. At Miami Beach Senior High, a public school of nearly 4,000 students, I had some magically inspiring teachers who didn't just teach their subjects, but were able to pull us in as students, see us each as unique individuals with limitless potential, make us think and want and do more than we ever thought possible. I also had some less than inspiring teachers and some downright awful teachers who had no business working in schools. I witnessed firsthand how adults could cause harm to children, even without meaning to. And I witnessed the many inequities of our systems. I became determined to be instrumental in changing them. I attended Boston University's early childhood program, run by the legendary Dr. Shickadance at the time, where I learned how to write curriculum that didn't just engage students, but ignited their sense of wonder. I was prepared in that program to walk into a classroom with nothing and still be able to teach. We were taught to teach everything through science, units on simple machines and frogs and toads sound. Once students were engaged, everything could be taught. After completing my student teaching at Ruffin Ridley, then called Devotion School, and graduating, I moved back home to Miami, Florida to start my career. I was 22 and wide-eyed and dreamy and basically forgot everything I was taught to do that first day. Typical, right? I was covering for a maternity leave in a kindergarten class with 35 students. Yes, you heard me correctly, 35. Needless to say, I've blocked out most of what happened that first day. But I do remember coming home to my parents' house that very afternoon with 10 bags of curriculum I was supposed to make sense of and collapsing on my parents' floor and saying, I can't go back there, I cannot do this job, I have to quit. I remember my father asking me, did you have to call 911? To which I replied, no, and he smiled and said, then it was a good first day teaching. I think his expectations might have been a little low, but it did make me smile, and I showed up the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. It got better eventually, I promise. Teaching in Miami-Dade County in the early 2000s was definitely an eye-opening experience. After everything I had learned as a student teacher in Brookline, you can imagine my surprise when I was handed a scripted curriculum. It was amazing to me how quickly one can take the fun and joy right out of teaching and learning. And yet, as all teachers do, I tried to make it work the best I could. Testing was everything at that time. I worked in a school that had a class of third grade students who had not made grade level expectations on our state test, which meant that they automatically had to repeat that grade. This particular class was repeating third grade for the third year in a row. At which point they would be passed on to sixth grade regardless of their test scores that year. Just another example of how our children are not failing, but rather our systems are failing our children. My story took a curve when I accidentally became a school librarian. That same principal that hired me to teach kindergarten put me in the library by promising me my own classroom the following year. I remember thinking, I love books, but I'm too loud for the library. I had no idea how much libraries had changed since I was a kid. The library was my ideal classroom, a place where I had freedom to create curriculum, support teachers in the classroom, work with students through their years at our school, and share the power of stories. I realized that school libraries could be magical, wondrous, safe spaces for everyone in the school community, literally the heart of our schools. My story came full circle when I moved back to Boston with my husband and saw the opening for a school librarian in Brookline. Pierce was like no school I had ever worked at before. Not because it didn't have walls, although that was definitely a factor, but because teachers spent their entire careers working there. Students who had graduated came back to work in the building, and almost everyone felt like I did about the importance of our profession. From the moment I started at Pierce, I felt like I was part of something bigger. A community that valued those things that can't always be measured: relationships, connections, and joy. A community that taught by modeling what we want to see in the world. After only 1 year at Pierce, I felt like I'd been there for 5. And then 15 years later, after 2 babies, I think about 5 principals and 4 superintendents, it is this community, my Pierce people, who have kept me there. Marley Gonsalves and Stephanie Goodman. Your ability to bring joy to everything you do is amazing. I think I had 1 foot out the door when you started at Pierce, but you reminded me how much fun teaching and collaborating can be. Developing programs with you like the Mock Newberry and the Pierce Prince, programs that get students reading and valuing the power of stories, has been such a joy and privilege for me. Your fierce care for our students and their stories, and your thoughtfulness about what and how you teach, and your ability to make big things happen is astounding. This really can be said of the entire middle school team. I mean, you are the best in the state. And OLS, our K-5 crew, you're a part of that honor as well. As much as I hate being divided in 2 schools, I feel thankful I wasn't forced to choose. My heart forever remains where it all began. Sandy Sicard, my partner in crime, my wise and encouraging friend with a heart of gold. The library may have been the heart of Pierce, but you are the backbone. You model true collaboration with teachers and are willing to drop everything to help support all of us every day. Every time I think I'm tapped out and have nothing else to give, you inspire me to say yes. Yes to writing BEF grants and making things like that Lego wall happen. Yes to joining the Pierce Equity Action Team. And yes to all of the other trainings and leadership roles I might have quietly backed out of if it hadn't been for you. David Weinstein, who as a first grade teacher promised me he would come help me in the library when he retired, which of course I thought would never happen since he doesn't age. And then he did retire and has shown up 3 days a week just to shelve the thousands of books we circulate each month. So much shelving, he had to wear wrist braces at one point. You exemplify everything I love about Pierce. Your wit, your wisdom. You're like the Yoda of Pierce, always helping us to hold down the fort, quite literally, by still fixing our laminators. And reminding us what matters most: laughter, and of course, our students. I mean, he still sends birthday cards to every student he ever taught. How is that even possible when I can't even get a card in the mail to my mom for her birthday? And the legendary Kim Barnum, the kind of educator we all strive to be, who may have retired from the classroom, but continues changing the world through her work with teachers. Thank you. Dominique and Jenny, my dear friends and co-conspirators, thank you for always reminding me of my purpose and for making me smile. You have made me a better teacher and person by pushing me outside of my comfort zone. Our work, diversifying our library and classroom collections and developing projects like our design of stories and our endless conversations about life and teaching, have reminded me why I became a teacher in the first place. I could go on and on listing the names of the teachers who have inspired me through my years at Pierce. How much time do I have? But there are too many of you to name. You all know who you are, because of the love and the laughter and the tears and the joy that we share together. One of the best things about being a librarian is that I get to work with everyone. Every teacher, every student, every staff member, and every family. This gives me a great view of our community at Pierce. our beautiful, diverse, imperfect, but always learning microcosm. Just know you have each been a part of my story. You exemplify the best of humanity with your dedication to our students. Thank you for all you do. And of course, my team of librarians. What would I do without you? Through the years, our team has been told time and again that we are expendable, that what we do doesn't matter. But everyone in this room knows it does. There is a reason librarians across the country are receiving death threats and books are being banned. Stories have power, and we are on the front line. You have taught me that my job isn't just selling reading and getting students excited about books, although I really love that, but rather getting students to think more deeply about the story, who is telling it and why, to ask questions and to think critically about their search for answers. So many of my most successful lessons and best practices have been inspired by you. My story would not be so positive if it hadn't been for the amazing school leaders I've had the privilege of working with, leaders who did everything in their power just to let teachers teach. Leaders who value the things that cannot be measured, relationships, connections, joy. Leaders who trust teachers. Dr. Piper Smith Mumford, Leslie Ryan Miller, and Jamie Yadoff, Jim Stoddard, and John Badger, who is so missed at Pierce. School administrators who treat teachers like the professionals we are. When I first started at Pierce, I kept asking Dr. Smith Mumford for permission to leave campus, to go to a meeting, to pick up some forgotten supplies for a class, to grab a cup of coffee since I'd been up all night with a crying baby. She finally had to tell me to stop asking for permission, like I had to do in all of the Florida schools I worked in. She expected me to be the professional that I am, and I was encouraged to do anything I needed to do, and I was encouraged to do anything I needed to do to show up on time as my best self for students. She trusted me. That trust made me want to work harder and do more for everyone at Pierce. These school leaders believed in and supported teachers in finding that elusive work-life balance, which meant the world to me as I started my own family. Which brings me to the best part of my story, my family. My mom and dad, my first teachers who knew that once I decided teaching was the way I was going to make the world a better place, were in full support of my every move. They taught me that while I might have been the center of their universe, I was definitely not the center of anyone else's. My amazing older sister and brother, Paige and Kevin, made sure I knew that too. My parents taught me to look at the world through a lens of curiosity and to value everyone's story as much as my own. And while they may have secretly dreamed of having all three of their kids working at the family business, they also learned very quickly that the only thing I'm good at selling is books. My two amazing daughters, Leela and Stella, who have helped me to find balance in my life. I may very well have burned out years ago had it not been for you keeping me busy with the joys of parenthood. You both amaze me with your kind hearts and your brilliant minds. Watching you grow, your curiosity and wonder, your love of stories, your struggles and triumphs has been and continues to be such a privilege. I'm so lucky to be your mom. Thank you for always reminding me of all that is good in the world. And Eric, my wonderful husband, my best friend, who has continued to keep me laughing and smiling and still listens to my crazy work stories after all these years. You make me a better teacher by keeping me grounded and reminding me to have a life outside of work and to occasionally put my book down to make my own stories. It is because of you that I'm able to show up every day at Pierce and do my best to support students and teachers. And so, my story continues. No end in sight. When the team showed up during my second grade class to surprise me with this unbelievable honor, I honestly thought they were coming to tell me that there was an issue with the new building and there wasn't going to be enough money for the library. Or that they had decided to cut the entire library department again. I know that sounds crazy, but this is the trauma that lingers when systems make decisions based on numbers that only tell part of the story, and often leave out the most important parts. What teachers do matters. Every single member of our school community matters. The relationships we nurture, the dreams we inspire, the connections we make, and the stories we tell, it all matters. Even if the systems don't value it, even if the data doesn't show it, even if the curriculum leaves it out, and even if it's not measured on a test or in a survey, it all matters. Kindness, love, compassion, empathy, imagination, creativity, all of the things I value most as an educator and as a human matter. These are the things that create a better world and therefore matter the most. Thank you, BEF, for seeing the value in these things as well, and for providing teachers with the opportunities to connect and dream and foster a love of learning and teaching. I hope that someday the systems of our society will value these things as much as we do. Until then, we can continue to hope and use the power of our stories to connect, unite, inspire, and dream. Earlier this year, I read Nikki Giovanni, the great Nikki Giovanni's beautiful book, A Library, to a class of first grade students. I was tempted to read it to you all too, but I won't. But it's all about the power of libraries. We discussed how libraries are more than just rooms that hold books, and each one of my first grade students wrote what a library means to them. So I leave you with this first grade student's lovely thought that fills my heart and reminds me of why I do the work every day. On this little Post-it, she wrote, "A place where dreams come true." Thank you. She did spell it come true, too. It's so cute.
I have something for you. Don't leave just yet.